Hi everyone. So first of all, let me play TWOW 24A's animation over here. It's gonna just sort of be a boredom repellent. So if you ever get bored of what you see in this real life camera screen, you can just watch that instead, and it sort of keeps your eyes entertained in a way. But anyway, I think this video is just going to be sort of a ramble about lots of different things. So the first thing I want to say is that in general, I don't like uploading videos that have a negative tone onto YouTube because people come to this platform to be entertained. That's the number one kind of be all end all reason that YouTube exists. Which is why even if you work in a different genre, like maybe you make educational videos, you have to infuse those videos with a little bit of humor, jokes, and personality, or else it's just going to be like a college online lecture or a college course. So why would people come to YouTube to watch a dry, boring college course? You have to entertain people in some way. So I feel like, over the last few months, I have recorded maybe three or four negative, ranty style videos that I haven't uploaded, because what would happen is after talking for 10 to 15 minutes to a camera, I started to realize that I was just sort of making this after writing a wave of negative emotion, and then after 15 minutes that wave had subsided. And if I look at it with a more clear head, then I realize that this content that I just produced doesn't really add anything to the kind of YouTube bubble of entertaining people. And so no one would want this, and it doesn't improve anyone's quality of life, so it's just not worth uploading at all. But the reason I'm telling you all of this is because there's a lot of kind of negative things or thoughts that I've been feeling recently that I don't really talk about. I know all YouTube say that, and it's super cliche, but I just wanted to mention that because, yeah. Well, also I also want to say that Humany as a channel, I know that I upload a lot of really long videos and really short videos, and when it comes to the long videos, people will comment saying, oh, this got boring around 5 minutes, and how can you expect me to sit through an hour of this? And I just want to say that you're allowed to leave whenever you feel like it. I have 2 or 3 other YouTube channels that are trying to make content that is supposed to be more watchable all the way through, like Jack and Jellyfy, Cary, Abacaba. So when you come to Humany, any of these videos, you're allowed to just go somewhere else if it gets boring. So I just want to put that out there, so it's so that's known. I'm not trying to entertain you with these videos. I think that I'm just this is just supposed to be a place for me to kind of do whatever I want. And right now what I want to do is just talk about random things. Okay, so I guess one sort of area of stuff that I wanted to talk about is Cary as a YouTube channel, which I created in 2011 to sort of have a more private, personalized place. Because Jack and Jellyfy was the channel that Michael and I shared for, I think, 3 years at that point. And I wanted to be able to subscribe to people and comment in response to people without Michael's permission. And it's not like Michael controlled me. It went the other way too. I'm sure Michael wanted to have a place where he could upload videos without making sure it was okay with me, right? So, there were YouTubers that I watched back then, like Rhett and Link and Charlie is So Cool, who I remember I would just go to their channel page every few days to see if they had uploaded something new, because I didn't want to subscribe and then have that knowledge be known just in the family in general. So that's why Cary and Fernozzle were created in 2011. And I think because of that, it's all just kind of been my space to do whatever. So over the last 9 years, Cary has just been a place of lots of varied content. There's stuff that's more academic-ish, which is the computer science / AI / evolution simulator stuff, and then there's also the non-intellectual stuff at all, like the marble races or algecosathlon, algodecathlon, or the Minecraft videos I used to make. And I think most people are cool with that, right? No one really complains. And I also don't think that this is a complaint for me to just make the observation that YouTube's algorithm these days wants people to only be good at one thing. I mean, it makes sense because like if you watch a TV show like Mythbusters, actually, I think this is something my friend Jabril told me or tried to describe to me, was a TV show like Mythbusters, you only really want to tune in if they're busting myths. You know, if they decide to start cooking one episode, even if it's the same people, you probably wouldn't be as interested because you fell in love with their ability to kind of build these wacky contraptions to test myths. So I think with that all being said, it makes sense, and maybe it's kind of mathematically inevitable that an algorithm that's trying to maximize watch time would start to favor channels that are really, really good at one thing. So that's why, you know, like Dude Perfect is known for trick shots and like, you know, cool athletic stunts, and Primitive Technology is known for building huts out of dirt and the natural world. And I think when you can point at one YouTuber and say like, oh, they're the guy who makes the huts in the natural world, then like it's super easy for people to associate like an idea with the personality, and then like boom, super recognizable celebrity. So I think with this all being said, Cary KH, like I've never really settled down on one thing. I think that like the AI thing, I tried to make that my brand in 2017, but I realized that there's just so much work behind each AI project that I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I guess the reason I mention all of this is because the sort of diverse stuff that I put on Cary KH has also kind of led to other problems that I didn't anticipate at first. Whenever I upload some video of one series, then I would hope that the people who had been following mostly that series would just be happy that I had continued the series. But what I've been seeing more and more is that whenever I upload something of Series A, people who had been waiting on Series B will comment saying that they're upset that I didn't instead make Series B. And, like, you know, negative comments always, algorithmically will kind of rise to the top, or kind of like on other platforms too, like Twitter or Discord DMs or emails or whatever, those just kind of are louder in my ear. So like if I upload Evolution Simulator, I'll get people saying like, where's the next TWOW? And if I upload TWOW, then I'll get like, where's the next Virus Simulator? And if I upload Virus Simulator, it's like, where's the next Marble Race? And I do want to say a few things. The first one being that, you know, if someone commented saying that like, oh, the Marble Race series had left a really positive impact on them because it let them realize more creative ways to play with marble tracks, I don't know, and they said like, I'm looking forward to the next thing you try in this series, that would motivate me to want to make Marble Race 5 or whatever the next one in that series is, I don't know. Because, you know, it makes me feel like there's a positive community around this genre of content. But like most of the comments kind of are infused with like trying to kind of like guilt trip me or like make me feel like I owe them something. Like they'll say, you know, how dare you betray the Marble Race community, or like, did you forget about us poor Elemental 4 fans? And I mean, I know that, you know, on the internet there will always be people who act this way, and I think that, you know, asking people to be nicer on the internet is a lost cause. And the winning move is just not to play, right? The winning move is just to not tune into any of the comments and all that. But I think that like now that the kind of pandemic / quarantine has happened, I keep telling myself like it's always better to interact with online communities more. So I try to go on these like H-Twin Central Discord servers more and interact with people. So I kind of, you know, inevitably bump into more people who act this way. And I think that it's like, maybe it's like a personality trait of mine or like a problem where, you know, I should realize that these people are just kids. Like they don't quite understand how to interact with strangers they've never met before. So like when I see this like comments that say stuff like, you really don't want to make TWOW anymore, do you? Shaking my head. Or like things like, you know, I've already kind of talked about that stuff. Like it upsets me, but it shouldn't, because I should realize, like, what if they're only 10 years old? Then, like, I'm, I guess, an adult at this point, so I really should be taking the higher ground by either, like, just not associating or, like, trying to educate. I mean, it's not my responsibility to, like, be everyone's, like, educator, but it's, like, hard to not want to lash back or, like, explain to them why I feel like when you make a comment saying, like, demanding the release date of blank, it makes me want to do it less, because I don't want to be kind of, like, parented around by someone I don't know. Like, I think I must have mentioned this in another video, but, when I was a little kid, and, let's say my mom's friends gave me a gift for my birthday, and I had this gift, and, like, since I wanted to be polite, I was about to say, oh, thank you, but then my parents would be like, be a good boy, Cary, and say thank you. Suddenly I wouldn't want to say thank you, because I want to know that I had the free will and, like, choice to say thank you myself, and I don't want to be a robot that's just controlled by someone else. So I think, that particular story, you could see that as just, a bratty kid who doesn't want to listen to his parents, which, sure, fine, you can argue that. But I think that when it comes to the same type of requests, but from people I don't know, like, instead of my parents, who I owe, I guess, my whole life to, it's people who I've never met before. I don't know what they look like, I don't know their names, I don't know anything. Like, I just feel like these people who say, like, be a good boy, Cary, and make TWOW, because, like, I mean, it just, I don't want to be a faceless content making machine that you just crank the machine, and, like, it doesn't matter if, someone in my family has had, like, a medical emergency or something, and, like, and then there's, like, a hurdle, or maybe I just kind of had to take a mental kind of break from the internet, or maybe I was busy with schoolwork, which happened the whole year of 2013 to 14. It's just like, why isn't the Cary machine making content, even though I'm trying to, like, push the crank as hard as I can by, like, posting all these comments? And then, like, I see people lately saying that, like, with BFB, for BFB 18 and 19, they say, like, oh wow, those came out in 18 days. And it's already been 18 days since BFB 22. So now, since BFB 23 is not out, it better come out soon, and I expect it to be even better than BFB 22. Like, BFB 22 was, like, 25 minutes long, which is, like, way longer than I had ever anticipated. I think it's cool that, like, Sam wrote such a long, substantial storyboard that people enjoyed watching. But it was never my intention for episodes to get that long. And so to see people in the comments saying that, like, now that this episode is taking longer than 18 days, they expect a half-hour special, I think it just, I don't know the right word to describe it. Like, maybe a little entitled, maybe, like, I don't want to respond, but at the same time, I just want to say in a way that kind of expectation is what has led to so many hiatuses of mine. And I can't speak for other YouTubers, but when you say that the longer a hiatus has gone on for, the more you expect when they come back, it just means they're not going to ever come back. Because if you don't want them to come back with, like, a kind of low quality, just off the cuff casual video, then it's, like, that much more mental burden to get over the kind of that activation energy if you're into chemistry or whatever. So I think that, like, with TWOW 24A, it's really only 4 minutes of animation with a bunch of intros. And I told myself, like, yeah, I don't want this return video to be a big deal, because I've already forgotten all the, like, there's a ton of, like, minute kind of parts, little sections that I would insert into every single episode. And I told myself, like, as long as it's something, as long as it's, like, not just a sloppy vlog, I can upload it, even if it's not the best TWOW video. And I think the same is true with BFB, especially given that the whole point of the series in the first place was just be casual, just have fun, not have expectations. And if I had told myself that mentality back in 2013, then I don't think I would have run away from the entire BFDI community for so many years. Like BFDI A5, like it was just so long and just, I mean, I don't want to say it's like well animated, but it was a saga, and it was really draining to get through. And if someone had told me like BFDI A6 doesn't have to be anything like that, if you drew it in like PowerPoint, I'm sure a bunch of little kids would still have been happy. If someone had told me that, like I would have not looked at this BFDI A6 audio file and like dreaded animating it. So I think that's just my personal feeling nowadays. I think at this point, I have my own opinions and you can have yours, but I think that like the amount in which I'm trying to interact with online communities has led to me kind of seeing conflicting opinions all the time. And I know, like, here's something else I wanted to mention. So I know that there's these other communities that can kind of backfire. And a good example is Yandere Simulator and the developer behind that. And I know that, like, he has gotten a lot of criticism for not being able to take criticism well, being kind of slow to produce his game, and like lots of other things. I don't want to get into the drama of all of that because it gets quite messy. And I also think that if you're a little kid, you shouldn't go watch that because it's quite a violent game. But I think that, when I was watching his videos, like even before all this sort of backlash happened, he made some video talking about how he spent 12 hours a day checking emails, and that was why he couldn't make faster progress with the game. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, like, if you're a content creator of that size, you should know that you don't have to respond to every email. You kind of, I mean, I don't really know how to word this in a way that sounds nice, but it's like, you always have the right to choose who gets to talk to you and who gets to communicate with you frequently, because if you just open your doors to everyone, then like you'll be talking to lots of like 8-year-old kids who you probably can't socially connect with since there's such a big disparity in maturity. So I think that like when I saw that video, I felt like it was foolish and just like, why can't you just not talk to them? So I feel like since I don't want to go down the same road, I should just realize to myself that if I see like comments that like annoy me because they're saying, how dare you betray the TWOW marble race community, or like, yeah, I just have this list here of like, I'll talk about that later, but I just don't have to associate, like in the same way that Yandere Dev doesn't have to associate with every email. And I think back to why when I made videos in high school, so this is like 2011 to 15, or okay, let's be real, it's 2011 to 13, because like junior and senior years of high school were not fun. I never had negative feelings of the internet back then. I think that when it comes to hate comments are different than what I'm referring to. Like hate comments would be if someone like, called me a racial slur or just kind of said like, you were super lazy and ugly or something, less of an argument at all. But I remember thinking back then that it's like, who even cares about hate comments? You can just not read them. And I felt like when I was making content on the internet, it's like it costs nothing to make a video, and if you just focus on the positive interactions, this is like a win-win situation for everyone. And I think I just loved uploading. And I remember hearing other YouTubers at the time saying, with hate comments you got to learn to not read them, and like as you get older it'll get easier to not deal with hate comments. And I feel like for me it's kind of gone in the opposite direction, and I've just tried to spend some time to figure out why. Like what I mean is, when I was in high school, it was so easy to see a comment saying like, oh my gosh, this BFGI is animated so ugly and I hate Ice Cube, and just disregard it, because it almost felt like comments like those were generated by a bot, and it's like I can't even tell if a human is behind these because they're so formulaic, badly spelled, no reason behind them and all that. But I think now, you know what, I'm not going to upload this. I think I'm just not. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to upload this. Woohoo.